Welcome to Codepress Academy. So today we are going to start a new chapter, computer hardware components. So first of all we need to go through the course content or the syllabus of computer hardware components. In the course syllabus or the course content we can see these are all the topics. So what are the topics? Introduction, disk drive, SMPS, hard sync, peripheral component interconnect, graphics card, sound card, port, modem, input devices, output devices, and storage devices. So there are several subtopics under them also. Like under introduction, we are having motherboard, CPU, RAM, ROM, etc. Similarly, under disk drive, we are getting HDD, SSD, CD or DVD. Like this, we can find many more subtopics under them. For example, under modem also we can get some topics. Under input devices we can get some topics like this. So today we are going to start the motherboard section of the introduction portion. First of all, we need to know what is motherboard. So let's see. This is a type of thing. This is a type of board which we call it as a motherboard. A motherboard is a main printed circuit board in a computer. So what does it mean? So what is a motherboard? Motherboard is nothing but a printed circuit board in a computer. Sir, what is printed circuit board? We know about what is computer. We know you are telling the topic about motherboard. So what is printed circuit board? Printed circuit board is nothing but a board. See, this is a board. We can see this is somewhat like a board. The base plate is a board. Circuit, there we can see some connections are there. Several connections are there. So circuit. And why printed? These circuits are printed on this board. So if you have any motherboard in your home, for example, it's always present within your laptop or desktop, television, TVs, etc. So this is mainly the printed circuit board. This is known as motherboard. It is responsible for connecting all other components in computer together. So here we can see there are several areas where we can connect different things. What are those? Those are CPU, RAM, hard drive, graphics card, etc. So these are the things we can connect to a motherboard. Motherboard also provides the power and the data connection to all of the other components. Motherboard is the sole responsible person who solves every details to the computer. For example, you are owning a computer and you are performing some tasks. So your motherboard is solely responsible for making every task you are doing. For example, I am moving this mouse cursor. So for that reason, a function is running, a program is running in the motherboard, in the CPU. For that reason, it gets processed and we can easily see this kind of movement of the cursor. So this movement is also controlled by motherboard. So motherboard is very essential component of a computer. Motherboard is the most important component in a computer and it's essential for computer to function properly. If motherboard fails, the entire computer will not work. It's very much understandable that if the main component, if the brain or the total setup gets destroyed, the system will not work. Motherboard contains a number of different components including CPU socket. So here we can see from this image This portion is the CPU socket. So what is the CPU socket? We know what is CPU. CPU is the central processing unit. This CPU is responsible for any of the work that we give. May it be arithmetical work, may it be some other works, whatever. CPU is responsible for that. And what is CPU socket? So CPU is the heart of a computer system, right? And what is CPU socket? The area that's holding the CPU. So we can see that this is the area. This is without CPU. This is with CPU. See the difference clearly. This is without CPU. This is with CPU. So this is the socket. In this socket we are placing the CPU. So this is CPU socket. Got that point? Now coming to the RAM slot. So what are RAM slot? RAM slots are the slots where RAM modules are installed. So this is the RAM. For example, let's say this is the RAM. And this RAM is getting installed to a place. This place is known as RAM slot. Got that point? Now, what are expansion slots? Expansion slots are where expansion card such as graphics card, sound card are installed. These are very similar kind of things. Fine. Storage connector. The storage connector are where the hard drive, SSD and optical drives are connected. So what are hard drives, what are SSDs, what are optical drives? No need to worry about these things. We will come to these portions in the latter section of our course. No need to worry. And most importantly, these are connected to the storage devices. So motherboard is also connected to storage devices. Very good. Now power connector. So what are the basic features that we need for running a computer? First of all, we need a power source, right? Whenever we turn on a computer, we switch on the plug. So why do we switch on? The main purpose of switching on is, if we switch on, for example, there is a power socket. There is a power connector. If there is a power connector, then what it will do? It will supply current to these printed circuit board, which I have told earlier. These are the printed circuit board. So it will give connection, it will give power to the circuits of the motherboard. Got that point? This is the purpose of power connector. And what are IO ports? IO ports are input output ports. From the name only, it's very clear. It's an input. That means we are giving input to the computer and output, getting output from the computer. So what are the input devices? What are the output devices? We can connect all those things to the motherboard. So some of the external devices are monitor, keyboard, mouse. This kind of things are connected. Can be connected. Sometimes we connect mouse, external mouse. When we connect external mouse, what we do? We take the jack of the mouse and insert it to the USB socket, right? What is that? What is that socket? That is the IO port. I am trying to give you the real world scenarios also, so that it is very much understandable to the students. Second of all, one thing I want to say, see all these topics, motherboard, disk drive, all these things, these things from where I am teaching, these things will be available to you and you can access these things all the time. No need to worry about it. If you want to access it from mobile, it's also applicable to mobile. If you want to access it from computer, you can access it easily. You can have access to this thing 24/7. No need to worry about taking notes every time. This is the place where you will understand the concept. Every notes are in this place. Every notes are there. No need to worry about it. Everything is there. Several quizzes will come after that. Several things, there are certain plans. There will be no problem. This is the place where you will clear out your concepts. First important thing is clearing out concept. Notes you can make later, and we have made notes in the form, in your form. It is very much understandable with images, everything. Go through it. You will have a much better understanding. If you have any kind of doubt while I am teaching, you ask me directly. I will answer it out right there. I will clear it out at that moment only. No need to worry. And if you face any problem while you are studying at home, for example, you are studying this portion at home and you face any problem that this portion is not understandable, you forgot what is printed circuit board, so you can ask me directly in our group so that we can answer you as soon as we are free. Okay, so no need to worry, nothing to do, no need to wait for the next class. You can give your doubt into a section so that we can clear it out as soon as we are available, or it will get resolved obviously in the next class also. If you the problem doesn't solved within that online mode, online WhatsApp or group or Telegram mode, then what we will do, you will come to the next class and ask me that this is the problem, please explain me this thing. I will immediately solve your problem. Okay, problem solving is very much important and that should be kept in mind. So up to this one we have completed. Now, motherboard also contains a number of different chipsets which are responsible for controlling communication between different components on the motherboard. It's very much clear. It is responsible. Motherboard is responsible for any type of communication in your computer. Whether you are typing, whether you are chatting, whether you are doing anything, motherboard is responsible. In your phone you are doing the same thing, there is also a motherboard. It's not like that motherboard is only on your computer or the television. It's also in your phone. When you are chatting with your friends, then also you are somehow utilizing your motherboard. Without motherboard the system will not work. Keep this in your mind. The chipsets is typically made up of two chips. So this is RAM, and RAM is made up of two kind of chips. One is North bridge and another one is South bridge. Now North bridge is responsible for controlling the communication between CPU, RAM and graphics card. So this is the image of RAM. This is the image of a RAM. This is the image of a motherboard. So when RAM is communicating, say RAM is here. Say RAM is placed here in the RAM slot. When RAM is communicating with CPU, everyone is communicating with CPU, RAM. RAM is communicating with CPU, and who is communicating? Graphics card. So who is graphics card? This one is graphics card. Let's say this one is graphics card. So graphics card is communicating with CPU, RAM is communicating with CPU. So these are the thing. So this type of communication we are calling it as a North bridge. So sir, you have told about the North bridge. So what is South bridge? The South bridge is responsible for controlling communication between other components on the motherboard, such as hard drive, SSD and USB. So it's very clear. What is South bridge? So what are the responsibilities of South bridge? It controls the communication between motherboard such as whom? SSD. SSD, what is SSD? SSD is a storage device. SSD is a storage device. HDD is a storage device. Okay. And what is USB ports? USB ports are the IO ports. So connection of IO ports with storage devices. Got that point? So what is North bridge? North bridge is the communication between RAM, CPU and graphics card. South bridge is the communication between motherboard, communication between hardware, SSD, USB of the motherboard, right? Motherboard is a complex piece of hardware, but it is essential for computer to function properly. Without the motherboard, the other component in the computer would not be able to communicate with each other, and the computer would not be able to work. Fine. This is very much clear to everyone. Now here are some of the functions of the motherboard. Connect all other components in the computer together. So motherboard is a place where it connects all other components togetherly, right? So this is the graphics card, this is CPU, this is some IO ports, this is RAM, like this. These are some connectors, power connectors. First, this is not the detailed explanation, but in the overview we can say these are the things. So these are the, say this is the port, connector ports. Say this is the RAM, this is the graphics card, this is the CPU. Fine. So these things are important. What it does, it communicates with each other. It connects all the components, right? It provides power and data connection to all the other components. Fine. Control communication between different component on the motherboard. Motherboard is solely responsible for any kind of communication in the system. Keep this thing in your mind clearly. Fine. This provides a platform for the BIOS, which is the software that starts the computer up and initiates the hardware. So, sir, what is BIOS? BIOS is nothing but the basic input-output system. So, what is basic input-output system? Basic input-output system is a program software. What it does, when you switch on the mobile phone or switch on the laptop or a computer, so how does it opens? That is known as BIOS. That is stored also in the motherboard. So motherboard is a vital part of any computer system, and it is important to choose a motherboard that is compatible with other components in the system. So this portion we have covered. In the next portion is CPU. So these are the CPU things and we will go through it. So first of all, go through the motherboard right now and you will have a detailed understanding of this. Read once. I am giving you some time. Read it and then we will continue. Okay.